Hello, I'm Harley Taylor.
And I'm Danielle Bricky for PVTV Channel 7 News.
The United States is ready to work with Iran's new centrist president, Hassan Rouhani, if his administration engages seriously in efforts to resolve the long-running standoff over Tehran's nuclear program. The U.S. State Department said on Monday, Secretary of State John Kerry welcomes the foreign minister's commitment to a substantive response and to his agreement to meeting in the short term with permanent UN Security Council members and Germany, coordinated by EU High Representative Catherine Ashton, to discuss the nuclear program. State Department John Psaki said earlier Ashton said that Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif would meet with his counterparts from Britain, China, France, Russia, the United States, and Germany later this week to discuss Tehran's nuclear program, which Western powers and their allies fear is aimed at the development of atomic weapons.
The number of immigrants crossing the border illegally into the U.S. appears to be on the rise again. The total number of immigrants living in this country rose from 11.3 million in 2009 to 11.7 million last year. Among the 6 states with the largest number of immigrants here illegally, only Texas had a consistent increase in illegal immigration from 2007 to 2011. The latest numbers to come as prospects for passage of U.S. immigration will appear dim. A bill passed by the Senate and backed by the White House includes billions for border security as well as a 13-year path to citizenship for 11 million immigrants already here legally.
If it's an adrenaline rush you want, you can find it in any zoo. In the jungles of northeast India, ABC News Nightline is in hot pursuit of one of the world's most exotic and mysterious beasts, the Great Bengal Tiger. But just as we catch up, they're joined by a paparazzi of fellow thrill seekers. More than a dozen vehicles packed with tourists, all stalking the same cat. It's a scene critics call obscene and traumatizing for the animals. But now, support for so-called tiger tourism is coming from a very unlikely place in the world. Top conservationists, they say the only way to keep the cats from vanishing forever.
Burger King wants people to feel less guilty about gobbling up its French fries. The world's #2 hamburger chain is launching a new crinkle-cut French fry on Tuesday that it says has about 20% fewer calories than its regular fries. The concept of taking an indulgent food and removing some of the guilt isn't new, of course. Supermarkets are filled with baked potato chips, 100-calorie packs of popular treats. Such creations play on people's inability to give up their food vices, even as they struggle to eat better. The idea is to create something that skips on calories but not on taste. Still, Burger King is betting that their new product, Satis Fries, will be so popular that people will be willing to fork over more money for them. The suggested price for a small order of Satis Fries is $1.89, compared with $1.59 for regular fries. That's a 19% markup. At the event in New York, Burger King had registered dietitian Carrie Gans said Satis Fries were giving about a way to make a small change and still enjoy the foods they love.
A new law has been set that protects celebrity children from harsh paparazzi. The new law allows $10,000 fines and civil lawsuits to be filed. Anyone convicted of a first offense could spend between 10 days and a year in jail. Paparazzi can no longer harass children in haste to grab a shot. In the recent past, children have been caught in danger because of who their parents were. Could this change the celeb media completely? Halle Berry, the actress who initiated it all, is pregnant again and wanted a change.
Since the dawn of the iPhone age in 2007, loyal BlackBerry users have watched their favorite device maker stumble into an ever-steepening decline. Some of the collapse is due to the consumer changeover to Apple and Google Android products, but the company, once known as Research in Motion, hasn't helped itself with poor planning and delayed product introductions. Early buyers of the iPhone 5S appear to be overwhelmingly choosing the gold-colored model over the two other color options, silver and space gray. People trying to buy a gold phone saw a message stating that the phone will not ship until October.
Sunny versus stormy weather on the East Coast this weekend is contingent upon the development and track of a storm over the western Atlantic Ocean. Current indications are that a storm will spin up just off the Atlantic coast this weekend. Forecasts from the eastern part of the Carolinas to the I-95 mid-Atlantic and New England this weekend into next week. A non-tropical system in such a way to spin up a major storm this weekend and may produce nasty weather. Even if the storm remains out to sea, large swells could be generated.
Benjamin Lee, a 52-year-old of Springfield, Missouri, was found guilty of interstate stalking. He followed his estranged wife from Missouri to Maine with apparent intentions of killing her. Police found 5 guns, ammunition, a machete, a bayonet, handcuffs, rubber gloves, duct tape, camouflage face paint, and many other items in his car. According to his lawyer, Lee only made threats to his wife when he was under the influence of extremely high doses of prescription medications.
U.S. singer Kelly Clarkson had bought Jane Austen's ring from an auction last year, but the British government prevented her from taking it out of Britain while funds were being raised to save it for the nation. According to Clarkson, Jane Austen's House Museum in Hampshire, Southern England, had accepted over $253,000 for the ring when it was auctioned off. UK Culture Minister Ed Vaizey placed a temporary export bar on the ring because it is so closely connected with Britain's history and national life that its departure would be a misfortune. The museum's offer to buy the ring back was accepted and has announced that it will be put out on display in the new year. Clarkson is just happy to know that Jane Austen's fans will get to go see it at Jane's House Museum.
Janice Lokilani is in the midst of a fight with state and local officials to ensure that her full name gets listed on a license or ID card. The documents only have room for 35 characters. Her last name alone is 35. So Hawaii County instead made her driver's license and her state ID with the last letter of her name chopped off. And it also left out her first name. It has caused her problems with police and travel, she says. By the end of the year, the new license cards in states will allow 40 characters for first and last names and 35 characters for middle names.
It's not quite an unidentified flying object, but one car for sale on eBay this week could easily be mistaken as something from another world. Owner Mike Vetter describes the vehicle as a combination of parts including fold-up doors reminiscent of a DeLorean, completely hidden wheel rims, a color-changing LED lighting system, which creates a nice light show in the evenings underneath the car. It's even fuel efficient, getting about 26 miles per gallon. Vetter says he built this car from scratch, using fiberglass and carbon. However, the custom creation is not cheap. Vetter is asking for a minimum bid of $100,000 for the vehicle.
For many fantasy owners, the biggest reaction they had in Week 3 was cringing after hearing about the 16 points Green Bay Packers running back Jonathan Franklin put up. Franklin was popular sweeper pick earlier in fantasy draft season, but he fell out of favor once he dropped to third to the Packers running back depth chart. This caused nearly all fantasy owners to drop Franklin from their roster. He currently has 1.6% ownership.
And now here's an interview with the Career Center Director, Mr. King.
Can you explain what a air filtration is?
Air filtration is a system that is designed to take away the bad fumes. In this case, it's in our welding and our ag program. Take away the welding smoke and the fumes away from the area where they're working and just clear it up.
Okay. Why does ag need an air filtration?
Well, welding fumes over the years can be hazardous to your health. If you're breathing that smoke from the welding, whether it be oxyacetylene cutting, MIG or TIG welding, anytime you breathe in unclean air into your lungs, there could be health reasons later on. And it's always been a goal of mine, being an ag teacher all the years, to figure out a way that we can clean up the air and make it healthier for our students and for our staff. So,
Okay. What company are you looking to purchase the system from?
well, this is actually our second air filtration system. Last year was our guinea pig year with the welding technology program. And one of our local vendors, Ozark Gas out of Cape Girardeau, that supplies our welding equipment, they got us in contact with a company out of St. Louis, and it worked real well in the fact that their company rep was down here every week that we were in construction and installation of the air filtration system, giving us guidance. And I like being able to deal with people that's local, and to me St. Louis is local. He can be down here in a couple hours to answer our questions or solve any problems for us, so it's a win-win for us.
Okay. How long should the equipment last?
This is something that the life of it is a minimum of 15 years. There will be general maintenance, and one of my goals and one of the requirements for them to bid it out this time, I want identical systems. That way I only have to keep one set of parts on hand for when they go down, then we can repair them. They're pretty simple in design, but they do the job.
What would be the health benefit for the students and the staff members?
As I said earlier, anytime you're breathing unclean air, and this time smoke, I know being an ag teacher for 25 years in a shop for 25 years around welding, I know pretty well what it's done to me and my lungs. They're not as strong as I think they should be. And I want to make sure that for our students, in particular for my instructors that are in there from the time they get to work till they go home, that we're providing them with the safest environment to work in as we possibly can.
Okay, thank you for the interview. This has been Chow from PVTV Channel 7.
Hunters set new record for heaviest Mississippi gator. Brand new gator hunters came across a big one in Fort Gibson. The alligator had been swimming the waters for over 50 years. When the guys spotted it and went for the kill, it broke all of the lines. It took 4 hours, but they finally got a shot on it. It was officially killed by 3 shots in the head. When the Department of Fish and Wildlife weighed him in, he was 727 pounds. There was another gator caught recently that was almost that heavy, but this one sets a new record.
Could Missouri be making way to safer waters? Officials are working for this at the new UV and effluent pump station facility in St. Joseph, Missouri. There's a new $18 million project that is steadily aiming for results in the Missouri River. The plant uses 972 ultraviolet lights which kill DNA found in E. coli, so it can't reproduce. The ultraviolet lights are said to be safer to workers than past attempts with hazardous gases. This plant can treat up to 54 million gallons of wastewater per day. Its typical load is 17 million gallons a day.
Missouri legislators appeared locked and loaded for a high-stakes fight with U.S. officials over gun control policies. The Republican-backed bill ultimately was doomed by the top GOP leaders of the state Senate, who cited concerns that the measure could have hindered local law enforcement efforts and infringed on free speech rights. The legislation had declared that any federal policies that infringe on the people's right to keep and bear arms shall be invalid in Missouri. It would have created state misdemeanor charges against federal authorities who attempted to enforce those laws. Senators voted 22-12 for the veto override, falling a single vote shy of the required 2/3 majority.
Federal officials say 2 species of freshwater mussels that live in southwest Missouri will soon be placed under federal protection. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service announced on September 17th that the Neosho mucket mussel will be listed as endangered and the rabbit's foot mussel as threatened under the Endangered Species Act. The protection takes effect 30 days after the new rules are published in the Federal Register.
St. Louis Blues signed free agent Brendan Morrow to a 1-year deal. Morrow received a $1.5 million contract from St. Louis. He earned $4.1 million last season with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Morrow was among many veteran free agents signed this summer by the NHL's lower salary cap. In St. Louis, he will reunite with familiar faces in coach Ken Hitchcock and general manager Doug Armstrong, both of whom were with Morrow during parts of his 13 seasons with the Dallas Stars.
The Cape Girardeau Salvation Army already provides meals to families that might need the help, but that's for supper. Starting Monday, volunteers serve a hot lunch to community members that need the help. The meals will be available during the last week of every month. The Salvation Army needs volunteers to help prepare and serve the meals.
Starting again at the St. Francis Medical Center, to increase awareness of breast cancer, is Pink Up. Pink Up is actually celebrating its 4th anniversary. It's designed to raise money and awareness for breast cancer. The program originally started 13 years ago with the Dig for Life effort at Southeast Missouri State University. And Linda Decker, director of the St. Francis Foundation, said, when Dig for Life joined with Pink Up, they were able to make a real difference for women in need. Pink pumpkins, pink lights, pink jerseys are all part of the St. Francis Medical Center's Pink Up campaign. Each October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, they encourage people to pink up their homes. Businesses Last year, more than 100 businesses participated from Perryville to Scott County to help raise funds for mammography screenings for women right here in our own community.
And now, here is an interview with the Career Center Director, Mr. King.
Hello, I'm Cassidy Sander here with PVTV Channel 7. I'm here with Mr. King. What are some of the achievements students in this Career Center have gotten recently?
Man, that list could go on and on and on, but some of the real 3 big highlights that we've had this year was 2 young men from Auto Collision were able to compete in the Ford AAA competition, which is real cool in the fact that they got to go out to Kansas City at the Speedway Raceway out there. And Ford, there was 12 teams of them. They had to compete to get the chance to go. But Ford had brand new vehicles there that they had bugged, in other words, had problems with it. And the guys were all given the same vehicle. And they had an hour to find and fix all the problems and then report back to the judges what they found, what they fixed, and the possible cost of it. And that was a cool experience for those 2 young men. We had 3 young men in welding that made it to national competition in their welding and fabrication team, and that was neat. And we had a graduate that competed again at the national level and got first again at the national level in competition. So we've had 3 major successes, but overall, there's not a program that didn't have a success story I could share with you. So,
well, that's something you can be proud of.
Yes, ma'am.
How do these achievements help the students after they graduate?
You know, that is just another notch on their belt. You know, it's a bragging right on a resume. It also shows that those young men and women have the ability to go above and beyond the call of duty. They do extra work, they study harder, they balance everything out, and they can produce outcome in a stressful situation. So it's just a win-win for them.
That's good. What effect did these students' achievements have on you as an administrator?
It makes me realize that our staff is doing exactly what I want them to do. They're sharing their love of the career with their students. They're pushing our students to be as successful as they can, and the students are stepping up to bat and actually running with their opportunities and being successful.
That's always good. How does an achievement like one of the ones you mentioned look on a college application?
It's there again. Most of our guys are really not going on to college. A lot of them are going on to further career and tech schools to get that much more certification. And it actually opened the door. Like the young man that went for the Ford AAA, they got some scholarship offers to go on to different tech schools in automotive service. So in the same way with our young man that has placed first at the national level in heating, air conditioning, and ventilation, that was Brock Meisner. And there is a real good chance he might be selected for a World Skills USA team. If he is selected, one of the major heating companies and air conditioning companies will take him in. They'll train him for about 6 months, and they'll pay his expenses, and I think it's to Germany to compete on the World Skills USA heating and air conditioning competition. So if he does get that, we're talking about a young man that grew up on a dairy farm. He's not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but he had a work ethic, all right? And you take a young man out of the rural southeast Missouri, rural Perry County, and can go to Germany for competition, you know, it's icing on the cake.
That's a great accomplishment for anybody. Before we go, what advice would you give to anyone considering taking your Career Center course?
You know, you at a young age in high school, as a junior or a senior, you have a lot of opportunities. And this will give you a chance to explore a career like the one you're in, digital media. You'll find out in high school, is that something I want to do? If it is, you've already got a good background underneath your belt, and the success will come a lot faster and easier for those. So I encourage people to look at doing an exploration. See if they like it. If they do, they're going to be ahead of everybody else in the class.
That's some great advice. Thank you for your time, Mr. King. I'm Cassidy Sander with PVTV Channel 7.
20th Century Fox's production of the feature film Gone Girl in Cape Girardeau could result in a state tax credit of $2.5 million for the studio under a state program designed to increase Hollywood's activity in Missouri. The tax credits the studio could benefit from will come through the Department of Economic Development's Film Production Tax Credit program, which has offered tax credits for film production in Missouri since 1999. Amy Susan, Communications Director for the Department of Economic Development, said in an email to the Southeast Missourian that the 20th Century Fox had applied for a film production tax credits for the filming of Gone Girl in Missouri.
On Saturday, September 14th, the Perryville High School cheerleading team went to their state competition at the Hearn Center on campus at Mizzou. We placed second in the 3A small division, which is now a school record. We had practice every weekday at 8 a.m. through the summer. After a very rough regionals performance, we redeemed ourselves at state. Coached by Rachel Larson, the competition squad consists of seniors Molly No, Kaylee Henneman, Jesslyn Layton, Kennedy Murakami, Megan Kraft, Macanda Lucifer, Michaela Rasharity, and Chloe Laws. Juniors Mariah Adams, Kelsey Pingle, sophomore Lily Walker, and freshman Abby Hogue and Phoebe Pullman.
The Perryville Pirates football team spent a hot Saturday helping the environment. A group of players volunteered recently at a tire recycling event hosted by Perry County Recycling Center and Perry County Soil and Water District. They worked so hard, said organizer and recycling center volunteer Shirley Pelker. There were a lot of tractor tires brought in, so it was great to have strong helpers. Collected tires will be sent to Jefferson City, where prisoners will shred them to be reused. The program is funded by Missouri Department of Natural Resources, and feel free to sign up and do your part.
Perry Animal Welfare Society was one of the 3 animal care organizations to recently receive the I'm Pet Friendly grant. The grants were for $2,000 each and recognized efforts to assist animal shelters as well as low-income pet owners. They were designed to help humane societies, animal shelters, and nonprofit rescue groups provide low-cost spay and neuter services for the community. The funds for these grants came from a license plate program that provides $20 of every plate sale to Missouri's spay and neuter program. This is this program's 4th year.
Sir Stuffington, the one-eyed kitten, was found with traumatic injuries and several diseases earlier this month near Troutdale. Blazer Schaefer, who lives in the Portland area, then took Sir Stuffington in as a foster kitten for the Multnomah County Animal Shelter. Schaefer said her girlfriend dressed up in the kitten in a hat and an eye patch to make him look like a pirate. A photo posted online of the Buccaneer kitten went viral. The couple has since made prints and posted them for sale, with all proceeds going toward the animal shelter to pay to treat all animals. Schaefer said the response has been overwhelming. In a few months, Sir Stuffington will have half of his teeth removed because they will eventually hurt his lip. Once he has recovered, he will be put up for adoption. Sir Stuffington may have already experienced a lot of health problems in his short life, but that isn't stopping this one-eyed kitty pirate.
Thank you for watching PVTV Channel 7 News.